Hello, I'm John Persinos, Managing Director of Personal Finance and its parent website, Investing Daily. The June 12 issue of Personal Finance is in the mail and posted online. Here are the highlights of what you'll find in your newsletter. Our first article by Phil Springer looks at selective diversification for a high-anxiety market. With U.S. stocks overextended after a strong 6-month advance, a reason to pull back finally arrived last month in the form of sharply rising bond yields. This bond market reversal signals the need to examine our investments even more carefully than usual. One likely result is that dividend stocks in defensive sectors will no longer lead the market higher. This was an aberration anyway. Instead, we could see a meaningful shift into less expensive, more economically sensitive issues. These will include both dividend stocks and non-payers. In this context, we look at our favorite plays and make some portfolio changes as well. In the second article, Igor Greenwald looks at how master limited partnerships, MLPs, are increasingly popular with investors. And small wonder, exempted from the corporate income tax, MLPs are by statute focused on natural resource plays, and in practice the bulk of the sector is concentrated in midstream energy infrastructure operating oil and gas pipelines. Despite some late May profit-taking, the Alerian MLP index was up 15% in 2013 as of May 30th, keeping pace with the red-hot stock market and beating it in total return thanks to the partnership's more generous distributions. The MLPs in the personal finance income portfolio are the cream of the crop. Igor takes a closer look at our favorite MLP buys now. In the third article, Sula Stephanopoulos looks at Nielsen Holdings, an iconic media metrics company that's likely to thrive in the digital world. The media landscape today is fraught with peril for legacy companies that were founded in the pre-digital era. But we think the best is yet to come for the #1 provider of TV show ratings, Nielsen Holdings. As Sula explains, Nielsen is the only company positioned to bridge the online and offline worlds. In Growth Track, I explain how the economic recovery is unlikely to get derailed anytime soon, regardless of new unease over monetary policy. Now that economic growth is accelerating, investors are worried that the Federal Reserve will respond by curtailing stimulus. After years of stagnation, it's a gratifying problem to have. We think these fears are overblown, though, as key indicators continue to bode well for growth in the U.S. and much of the world. Investors are scratching their heads over the deeper meaning of some recent cryptic statements made before Congress by the Fed's chairman, Ben Bernanke, that a new direction could emerge from, quote, the next few meetings of the central bank's policy-setting committee. Bernanke's stimulus programs have helped drive a 4-year rally in U.S. stock prices. But even if the Fed were to change course, it'll probably come toward the end of the year. Meanwhile, recent economic news has been surprisingly upbeat. I look at the ramifications for our growth portfolio holdings, as well as my best buy from the portfolio. In Income Report, David Dittman shows how politics and portfolios, well, they just don't mix. There are myriad distractions lurking that will only draw you off your basic mission, which is to follow a long-term plan for wealth building. As David writes, we're strictly nonpartisan. We're neither pro-Democrat nor pro-Republican. We're neither left nor right. We focus on the empirical data. As a voter, you should pay attention to what happens with local, state, and federal government elected officials and the policies they pursue. But as an investor, you should ignore all that. He shows what all of this means for the income portfolio. He also spotlights his best buy from the income sleeve. In Fund Focus, Ben Shepard demonstrates how we're, quote, strengthening the core of our fund holdings. As the bull market continues, we're bulking up our exposure to the U.S. and building a position in Europe. Changing conditions warrant periodic pruning of our fund portfolio as part of our overriding goal to provide you with market-trumping returns. Accordingly, we've changed the formatting of the fund portfolio. You'll see it all spelled out in your issue. And in On the Money, Tom Scarlett reveals the 7 deadliest 401k sins. Tom discusses the most common pitfalls with this type of retirement account that any investor should ignore. As he makes clear, your 401k is not the place for you to try to time the market. It's the ultimate long-term investment where you should aim to strike a balance between steady growth and minimal risk. It's all in your latest issue of Personal Finance, now in the mail and available online. I'm John Persinos, wishing you many happy returns and urging you to please post comments on our website. Our goal is to not only make you a wealthier investor, but a wiser one as well.